A few years ago, I was on the same subject, appreciation of life. And it's the same topic I want to talk about. Just a while ago, I was eating my breakfast. The funny thing is that I had the video posted about eating lunch or eating something else in the mind. And the discussion was about how my mind gets diluted here and there. So while I was eating lunch, I have to stop to appreciate what I'm eating and the environment. But then the thought pops up, so I was going back and forth. But this morning, the breakfast was a bit different, actually quite different. It was about the miracle of life. I was thinking about the existence of my being here. It's nothing but miracle. And I have talked about it in different YouTube. But as the mind moves around, this morning, the sense become more vivid. So instead of my being diluted, to me it's the opposite. Opposite of delusion is awakening or enlightenment. And the thought was about the miracles, and I realized how lucky or how I exist, not for my own will, but the will of the universe. There's no question about it. But we, or our mind, may drift away from such sense. So even if I'm eating my breakfast, I could be thinking something else, but this is thinking about how miraculous my existence is. I can hear the siren outside, and the situation is perhaps very emergent for whatever the reason is. So this is the world we live in impermanence. The siren may for me at certain point to go to the hospital or whatever the setting is. But for now, I can hear the siren, but mine is functioning as if no impact for me. So if I may get back to this subject of appreciation of life or sense I have about the miracle, what does that mean? I have to get back to the state. Let me start with this one. That was Saichi, I believe, Myokonin, a devoted Buddhist, Shin Buddhism. And this is a funny statement. He said that after getting rained, he came back to the house and realized that how lucky he is because his nose is pointing downward, the nostril, instead of upward. So he was appreciative to the fact that he didn't get waters going into his nostril. So that may sound very ridiculous, but to me, such awareness, or even if you may call it as insight of our being, is very fundamental about who we are. If not the the pointing direction of the nose, the fact that I can talk, the fact that I could taste the breakfast, and the nutrition go through, process, turn into the muscle or the blood or the hormone and protein into the brain, and for me to think. Just looking at that to me is miraculous event. The fact that I can think and talk is miracle. But out of the miracle, we can delude ourselves and suffer. So on one end, this miracle may turn out to be not a miracle, but the worries and anxieties and despair and more, like if I think about the global weather changes and the war, terrorist, political scene, murders, what can I do? That's happening, and at one occasion I may be concerned about and question what I can do. And that is one phenomena happens in my mind. But this morning was not so much into what can I do, but here and now, and how I feel all the energy is flowing, and me existing and eating and appreciating life, that I exist because all the miracles happen. So to me that's very fundamental and important, because our mind can drift away into the confused state, but forget about what's happening. So I've been looking into various writings I've done 12 years ago, 10 years ago, and I had interesting encounter with people. And the article I was reading last night, was the time when I exchanged this idea about Myokonin or Shin Buddhism and Zen with a person named Michio in Japan. And he had a very wonderful experience, and the views reminded me of Myokonin. I don't know if I can capture the essence of the talk, but basically, as I have been talking about, our mind has limitations. And when we realize that, and the fact that that realization may make us to appreciate not the self-power, as they call it in Shin Buddhism, of the mind and ego, but beyond that is the fundamental force of universe, if I call that, or the other power, they call it, which to me is like the laws of universe that makes us alive in this miracle existence. And there's that appreciation of the miracle, the force of the universe, or in their term they call the other power, not your power, but the other power, or the power of Buddha or Amida Buddha, whatever the term is, functioning. So If you are caught up in the mind, we may not see that or feel it, but as much as I was connecting to that thought or the view or absolute force of what's happening this morning, that made me to be humble and appreciative to the fact that I can taste food, all sorts of food that I prepare for breakfast. Okay. And appreciating the taste of it. The existence. And what made me feel is that, of course, I don't want to waste not appreciating, but be arrogant, if I may say so, or be caught up in the mind. So if you look your mind as if from the source of who we are, which is the manifestation of laws of the universe, or the power, or some may call it Buddha nature. There's an origin of who we are to become enlightened. That force is functioning. There is that appreciation.